Welcome to The Schuby Show, where sports, movies, TV shows, technology, history, and more come to life. Now, please be seated and get ready for some more never-ending nonsense with yours truly, Schuby.
This is The Schuby Show with yours truly, Carson Schubert. And today on the show, we've got a very special show lined up for you as Kyle Hester. He's an actor, he's a producer, he's been in different films. He is going to be joining me to talk about his acting career and some of his recent work. Before we do that, let's remind you all, if you have somebody in mind that you'd like to have have me have as a guest on the show, you can email me at theschubyshow@gmail.com. And you can also visit our future website. You can't actually visit it unless you go to the future, but by the end of next week, I will be having our website, a website for us completed. And and again, if you know anybody that's knowledgeable with sports, movies, TV shows, technology, history, or just think they'd be a good guest, please have them contact us via email or our social media, which is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at The Schuby Show. And you can follow me on Twitter at Radio Ruben. And that is just going to about wrap things up as we will get Kyle Hester, the actor and producer. He will be joining the show coming up right after this. And welcome back to The Schuby Show, and I am now joined by actor, producer, art director. There's so many titles for this guy. Kyle Hester, I appreciate you joining the show today. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate sharing this endeavor with you.
You bet. I appreciate you coming on. So, Kyle, for our audience, first of all, I want if they don't know who you are, kind of give us a little bit of a background of who you are and what you've done in your career so far.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm an actor. I've done that since I was basically, in the 7th grade. And I've had the opportunity to work with amazing directors, John Frankenheimer on Andersonville, and work with Bruce Beresford in Last Dance. And just kind of been making a go at this crazy thing called film for a little while now. So I've kind of worked on every part of the camera, in front, behind, and been on sets in many capacities, and just it's been a lot of fun.
Sweet, man. So you can also follow Kyle on Twitter at Kyle D. Hester. And Kyle, you've got some projects going on right now. You've got Preacher 6, an indie film that's going on, and looks like you also have another project that's set to be released this year, Zombie with a Shotgun.
Yeah, well, actually, Zombie with a Shotgun is in editing right now, but I do have The Chair, which is that'll be coming out in the fall. And you can find that at The Chair Horror on Twitter. And that was actually Roddy Piper. That was his last feature film, and he was amazing.
Cool. The Chair. Here's just a quick rundown of it. A man struggles to escape a grisly fate on death row in the intense story of betrayal, revenge, and humanity's horrifying capacity for evil. So it's quite an interesting cast here too. Roddy Piper, you said, is in there, and Bill Oberst Jr. He's one of the main characters, and Noah Hathaway. So those are some of the other main characters in that movie. Tell us a little bit more about that movie. What was your involvement, and how'd you like it?
Well, it was amazing. I was actually brought on as an actor. I played one of the prison guards named Bowen, and it's a pretty dark story, as you read. So it was like me and Noah Hathaway and Zach Galligan from Gremlins. He was also one of the guards, and so we got a lot of screen time together, and that was very cool. So I was brought on as an actor, and then through kind of like one thing led to another, and I actually ended up being the producer of the film. The creator of it was is Peter Simetti, and he lives on the East Coast, and everyone else was here on the West Coast. It was being shot, in Los Angeles, and so I ended up, basically producing it, and that was quite the experience all in itself. So, and
yeah,
rolling right along.
Yeah. So you're in Los Angeles right now. So what brought you to Los Angeles? How did you end up getting to Los Angeles? Because you were born in New Orleans, and your dad was a former football player for the Saints. And so how'd you end up all the way in California?
Well, you know what? It's like the acting bug got me, man. It's like I saw the Shining when I was younger, and it was kind of like, oh my God, that's amazing. And who was this guy, Jack Nicholson? He's like, it's incredible. So I kind of got the bug, and I ended up coming out here for school. I went to USIU in San Diego, and then I ended up coming up here to Cal Arts up here near Los Angeles. And so I just kind of ended up kind of making out here home, for the last 2 years. So it's been cool. But I mean, you can do film anywhere. But this has been an awesome experience here in LA.
Yeah, it's very interesting just to see where people can end up. Like we start out here. I'm in Northwest Iowa. Who knows, by the time my career's over, I could be in Los Angeles, or I could be on the East Coast, or somewhere crazy like that. It's just amazing to see where you start at maybe a smaller place or a different place, and you end up in a totally different place. It's kind of amazing to think about a little bit.
And so it goes, man. You know what? It's like life is a ride, so just hang on and keep on going wherever you end up.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So this is Kyle Hester, actor. You're also an art director. You've been an art director, and you've done producing, and you've done special effects. You've helped decorate sets. So, like you said, you've been able to do just about everything there goes with putting out a movie.
Yeah, and I think that, basically once you kind of get on the sets and whatnot, and depending on what you want to do, I recommend if you want to be a filmmaker to know how to do everything. So, take all those jobs from PA to sound to, art department and all of it. So that's kind of how I ended up doing everything that I ended up doing and building sets and, so you learn carpentry and all kinds of stuff. It's like, it's basically film is a bunch of artists, of all capacities. And it's a lot of people doing a lot of specialty stuff, and it's kind of a big deal, as Anchorman would say.
Yeah, there you go. So tell me a little bit about Zombie with a Shotgun here so far. Your guys are kind of working on that right now. You are one of the three main characters. Hank Ray is your character in the movie. And also Braden, is it Bad or is it Bade? He's Aaron Walker.
Bade.
Bade?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's Aaron Walker. And then Catherine Kuhn, she's Rachel Young. Tell me a little bit about that and what you've enjoyed so far in filming Zombie with a Shotgun.
Well, that was super cool. Went out to New York, and basically it was like basically the hottest days of the summer last summer when we shot that. So we were shooting in a basement, and it was like 97 degrees for 3 days in a row. And so you have the hot lights, and between the hot lights and the just being ridiculously hot in New York, it was quite the experience. But that's right now. That's being edited, and Hilton's working on that. the creator and director of that Hilton Release, and so that was awesome. That was a lot of fun, and so we'll see. Hopefully that's going to be wrapped up sometime in the near future, and that'll be out.
Yeah.
Sooner than later.
Yeah, it looks like it could be as soon as this fall, possibly, or maybe this winter coming up sometime here in 2017. So hopefully that'll be out, and it's under different categories. Kyle, you got action, horror, and romance. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody.
Yeah, it's a romance story surrounded by zombies. So you know.
So that's quite cool. And what of all the projects that you have done so far, what would you say has been the most exciting or the best one that you've done so far?
Well, the best one that I've done so far is actually I'm in the middle of raising funds for it right now, and that's Preacher 6. Okay. So that's it's a completely in-house situation. My wife wrote it, and I'm going to be I'm producing it and going to be playing the title role Preacher 6, and so there's going to be lots of demon killing and action, and that's going to be something cool. So if you like kind of grindhouse horror type films, then Preacher 6 is going to be one to watch for. So we're doing the fundraising right now and have a GoFundMe, and we're doing whatever we got to do, selling T-shirts and all kinds of stuff to fill up the coffers to make the film happen.
All right, cool, man. So you've enjoyed working on that and trying to get funds raised for that. Tell me what was one of your most challenging roles that you've had to do? Maybe it was because another actor was not so kind or something, or maybe it was just a hard role that you had to do. What was one of those things for you?
Yeah, I'd say the most challenging role so far has been the chair, because he was the character was super dark, so it's like playing a sadistic prison guard. It's very far from who I am as a person, and so I would say getting out of my own way and letting the character come through. That's been my biggest challenge so far. So when you see the film, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, that'll be coming out. Actually, that for sure will be coming out in the fall on release on DVD and Blu-ray. So yeah, you definitely give that a follow and keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, and you can follow Preacher 6, the film that Kyle was just talking about, on Twitter at Preacher 6. And you can go to their GoFundMe page, and you can give some money to help get that film going, and hopefully Kyle and his wife will be able to successfully get that out. And Kyle, without giving away the plot or anything, just give us a little bit of a background on Preacher 6.
Well, Preacher 6 is about a small-town preacher who ends up being called to the big city, and to his kind of bewilderment, he ends up fighting evil in a literal sense. So it's kind of like preacher comes to Twin Peaks and ends up fighting demons. So it's I can't give too much away, but there's some super cool characters in it, and it's like a reluctant superhero, like a different kind of superhero situation, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. Lots of guns and swords and all that kind of fun stuff.
All right. Is it not really a religious film, or is it kind of, or what would you say?
It's a low budget. Is that what you said?
What would you say? It's kind of a religious film, or not really at all?
Oh, religious film. No, it was definitely not it would not be something that you would find in the on the Christian Database films.
Okay.
This is it definitely has he is a preacher, so there are he is a religious person. But you will see the journey and the struggle is real, for what he has to do, So, it's not anti-religion, it's not pro-religion. It's just kind of like that's the setting. You know what I mean? He's a preacher.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, sweet, man. So taking a look. The Book of Daniel. Now this film might have been a little bit more religious, I guess. I have not seen it, but give us a little bit. I'll give you a little bit of a summary. It says in 605 BC.
Well, the Book of Daniel.
Yeah. So it might be just a little bit more religious.
Yeah, no, that's actually the Bible story, the Book of Daniel. So that is a pure flick film, and that was a period piece, Bible story, and it's funny because when I got on set and I'm kind of dressed up in period piece, and it's like I thought of the movie 300. I'm like walking around set, kind of wearing this like Roman soldier garb, and I'm like wanting to like Sparta. I kept yelling Sparta on the set, and the director thought that was funny for the first 2 times.
Yeah, it's like, all right, get out of here with that. So
gotta have fun.
Yeah. So basically, the plot of the Book of Daniel. In 605 BC, Jerusalem was conquered by the Babylonians, and many of their best young men were taken into captivity, including Daniel. Daniel was taken to Babylon to serve it. A powerful king, Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel, as an example of boldness and faithfulness to God in the most difficult circumstances, had eternal impact on the people and the kings that he encountered. And Kyle, you played a role in this movie as some of your co-actors, Robert Miano, he was the old version of Daniel, and Andrew Bongiorno was the regular version, or the middle-aged version, I guess, of Daniel, I guess is how you would say that. And what role did you play in this movie?
I played Arioch. So I was basically the king's right-hand man, main guard, the dude that stands by the king. So,
okay, got it.
So, yeah.
Yep, okay. Arioch was your name in that movie? All right. So tell me what you experienced from playing in that role. Was it a fun role for you to play, or did you find that somewhat challenging?
You know what? I think that it was a lot of fun. I mean, anytime you get into a historical piece, like you get to kind of dive into the past, and that's always fun. So to me, it's like you get to fully kind of envelop yourself into another time, and so yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah, it kind of makes you feel a little bit old-timey when you get into things like that. So it says.
Totally.
So it says you also were involved in kind of some short films and some voices you maybe did for a video game, and you're involved in a TV movie called Andersonville back in 1996, and you've kind of been involved with all kinds of different things. You were involved in Project Hollywood, the TV series. What has been your favorite part of the Hollywood experience? Has it been just being an actor in a movie? Has it been a TV show? Has it been the producing part of it? Has it been art director? What has been your favorite part so far?
For sure, acting. I mean, that's like what I started doing, and that's where my passion is. So I think that I love being a part of like the whole situation. So it's all fun, being a part of whatever the the artistic endeavor calls for. But yeah, the passion is definitely the acting. So I call myself like a reluctant producer. It's like, all right, well, if I have to do this to make the film happen, I'll do this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've been in some plays and musicals and different things like that, but I have never gotten obviously to that scale. Not that I wouldn't want to get into that kind of thing, but I'm kind of more on the sports side. Sports is more interesting to me. Football wise, I've announced football, and I do a podcast about sports, football, and all kinds of that stuff. So that's kind of where my forte is. I just love watching sports, and if I can get a job talking about it or writing or whatever it might be, that would be perfect for me. So, and you said you were a sports fan.
Keep on going, man. Oh yeah, totally. I get the NFL package every year, and so that becomes my religion in the summers. Is football. So.
All right. Well,
I'm sure that's a lot of people's summertime religion too. So I think I'm gonna start a church and get a tax exemption, and so that's the plan.
Yeah, fall time, and when fall hits, you definitely are going to be tuned in. Whether you go to church first or you don't go to church, you're probably going to end up watching football at some point during the day on a Sunday afternoon after your. So, what do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite team, or you kind of just watch football because you like it?
Saints fan all my life, man. So we'll call that die hard, and
right.
I don't see that changing.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm sure there was some Saints fans that probably jumped on after they won the Super Bowl back in 2009. So that's good that you've been there for the whole ride then, instead of jumping on there.
You have to, man. You got to support your team through the ups and downs, or you're not like a real fan.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm a Vikings fan, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So.
Right on.
Oh, that NFC Championship game that still haunts me. I'm telling you, that was awful.
Yeah, no, I understand. You guys are actually Peterson is on the Saints now.
Yeah, that's right. AP, the revenge game, so to speak, is going to be to start the season. We play you guys to start the season on Monday Night Football, so that should be an interesting game, to say the least.
That'll be fun, man. Well, I'll call you at halftime.
Yeah, that's right. We'll have to talk about it and see. Hopefully, one of our teams is winning, or maybe they'll be tied. Who knows? But yeah, that'll be interesting. What other you enjoy any other sports in your free time?
You know what? I enjoy watching, all kinds of sports, but as far as like being a fan, I'm pretty I follow football, and so that would be the ones that I would have the knowledge on. But I like all sports.
All right. So I guess Kyle, we'll wrap things up here in just a bit. What would you like to say about some of your other projects that you've done? What has really stuck out, maybe from a learning standpoint? What have you learned from maybe the message of one of your movies that you've been in, or what would you say has been the most learning experience, whether it's from what you had to do as an actor or what you learned from the plot of the story?
That's a good question. I think the thing that I learned the most was on the chair, and basically having been involved in front and behind the camera. It's like just watching and not only watching, but kind of like being a decision maker on how all of it's going to happen. It's a big, giant machine that you have to be very creative and artistic to pull off. So film is quite the complex creature. But so I learned a lot on doing the chair for sure.
All right. What has been your favorite character to play? What would you say from any of your movies that you've done in the past? What would you say has been your favorite character, or one maybe that you related to the most?
I'd say my favorite character to get into was in Andersonville during the Civil War film. So that was like basically diving into, being at the Civil War. And, it was like, what a crazy story that is. If you've ever read about the Andersonville prison camp, and it was quite a terrible situation that happened in our country. But that was, getting into that was pretty intense. And that's what you live for as an actor.
Yeah. Yeah, so glad that we don't have that going on anymore in our country. Hopefully we never get back to that point of Civil War, because that's just foolish. But it's definitely interesting. I would say if you were in a role like that, to be kind of a part of a piece of history, whether it's good or bad, just kind of gives you a taste of what it was like back in those days. I suppose that part of it was probably intriguing for you as well. Definitely.
I was definitely glad to be a part of it, and especially with John Frankenheimer as the director. So he's amazing.
All right, and my last question is, who is the biggest name or the most famous person you've worked with? Just kind of a rough idea of somebody you've worked with, and you've maybe had, you maybe thought he was your role model, or maybe that was just a really well-known actor.
Well, I won't go role model on it, but I would say it have to be Sharon Stone in Last Dance.
All right.
So she was super nice, and that was that was like right at the time when she was like really, coming out as a superstar. So that was great.
And what movie was that? Did you say?
Last Dance.
Oh, okay.
The film where she was on death row.
Gotcha. Yes, that's right. That was back in the 90s, yeah. So Sharon Stone, Rob Morrow, and Randy Quaid were all in that movie. So you got some pretty big names in there that you got experience with. How was that filming of that movie for you?
It was great. That was one of my first big kind of like big budget or larger budget films. So it was awesome. I'll take it. More, please.
Yeah. So did you actually get to work with Sharon in particular, or did you get to talk to her much, or was she kind of in her own?
Oh yeah, she killed me.
Oh, she did. Okay.
She killed me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got to do a stunt with her. So she hit me with a crowbar, and I, went flying through a window, and actually the stuntman went flying through the window. I looked like I went flying through the window, but it wasn't me that did the actual flying through the window.
Thank goodness, right?
Yeah.
That might not have been so fun otherwise. So that's quite interesting. So was it your murder that she was on death row for, or was she on death row for another murder at that point?
And it was my murder.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if she. So that was just that murder. That was kind of the big one. So you kind of helped make that movie, man.
Yeah, man. I was the reason that movie happened, man. If I hadn't died, she would have been on death row. No Last Dance.
That's right. Well, that's awesome, man. And definitely we'll let me see here. You said we could follow you on Twitter at Kyle D. Hester, and you can follow his film, Preacher 6, his and his wife's film, an indie film called Preacher 6. You can follow that at Preacher 6 on Twitter. And also you said another film that you were doing, I believe The Chair, you said you could follow that on Twitter too. Is that right?
That's correct. Absolutely. At The Chair Horror.
All right. There it is. It's got the little syringe by it there in the title. A horror thriller starring Roddy Piper, Bill Orbs Jr., Zach Galligan, Naomi Grossman, Noah Hathaway, Tim Mascatel, and Kyle Hester. So it's quite an interesting film that is getting released sometime this year. Should be quite interesting to see that. And check out all kinds of Kyle's work. And again, follow him on Twitter to help donate to the cause of getting Preacher 6 out there. And hopefully that will be released sometime in the near future for you guys. So again, Kyle, I appreciate you joining the show today, taking time out of, I'm sure, what your busy schedule is to come on my show. And thank you, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. It's been great. You're awesome. I appreciate your time.
You bet. Thank you very much, sir. You have yourself a wonderful rest of your day.
All right. Likewise.
All right. Thanks again, Kyle. That is Kyle Hester, an actor and a producer and an art director. He's been all kinds of different roles he's had in the world of Hollywood and acting. He has been he's been around, that is for sure, in the acting and everything else. So again, thank you, Kyle, for joining the show. And we will be back at some point this week or next week with another episode of The Schuby Show. So join us again. Until next time, Skol.
Thanks for listening to The Schuby Show. We hope you mildly enjoyed yourself with more never-ending nonsense with yours truly. For more nonsense, go to the website, theschubyshow.webs.com. Get the show on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Until next time, Skol.